Recently, customs at Shenyang Taoxian International Airport discovered abnormal images in passengers' luggage during an outbound flight to South Korea. Upon inspection, they found 1 million yuan in cash inside the luggage. On November 3rd, as reported by Guangdong Zhuhai Airport, Gongbei Customs, which operates under the Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macao Bridge Customs, caught a driver hiding 2 gold bars in his shoes, totaling 2,000 grams and estimated to be worth about 900,000 yuan. China's wealthy are rapidly moving assets out of the Chinese financial market. They are transferring billions of dollars out of the country this year by purchasing gold bars, Hong Kong insurance policies, foreign currencies, and luxury apartments overseas. Under the increasingly oppressive regime of the CCP, the rich are moving their assets both as a way to find solid investment options and to avoid becoming targets of the CCP's financial harvest. According to a report by the New York Times on November 28th, about $50 billion are flowing out of China each month on average, primarily from Chinese households and private businesses. The report states that to circumvent the Chinese government's strict control over transferring funds overseas, some people are buying small gold bars and stuffing them into their carry-on luggage, including large amounts of foreign currency or purchasing overseas real estate. Zhao Zhe, the CEO of Shenzhou Maoshuang, an online real estate listing service in Tokyo, was quoted saying that Chinese have become the main buyers of Tokyo apartments priced over $3 million. They often pay with cash carried in suitcases. He said counting so much cash is really tiring. He said that before the pandemic, Chinese buyers typically purchased one-bedroom apartments in Tokyo for $330,000 or less to rent out. Now they are buying larger houses and obtaining investment visas to relocate their families. Another method for Chinese wealthy to move funds overseas is by opening bank accounts in Hong Kong and then transferring money into these accounts to purchase insurance products. Hong Kong insurance has long been a channel for Chinese citizens to buy foreign assets, offering more protection than domestic options. Most of these insurance policies are denominated in US dollars, allowing for overseas assets allocation. Recently, at a branch of the Bank of China in Kowloon, Hong Kong, there were long lines of Chinese people waiting to open accounts as early as 7:30 a.m. A Hong Kong insurance broker said that if people arrive after 8 a.m., whether they can get served before the bank closes depends on luck due to the overwhelming number of people. This broker noted that average families are now buying insurance products with $30,000 to $50,000 in US dollars, several times more than before. They are looking for a safe place to keep their savings. Some with substantial capital are seeking investment options that retain value. According to data from the Hong Kong Insurance Authority, in the first half of this year, the amount paid by Chinese citizens for new insurance policies increased by 21.3% compared to the same period in 2019, while these insurance sales nearly vanished during the pandemic. The report suggests that the outflow of funds indicates unease about China's lackluster post-pandemic recovery and deeper issues. For these wealthy individuals, it is also due to the concerns about the economic direction under Xi Jinping's rule, as he has cracked down on commercial activities and strengthened government control over many aspects of society. As China's economy shows a sharp downward trend, local governments at all levels of the CCP are facing insolvency and severe financial difficulties. Meanwhile, foreign capital is massively withdrawing from China. Analysts believe that ordinary Chinese citizens no longer have surplus funds for the CCP to levy, leading the CCP to target the country's wealthy class. Evan Osnos, a former Beijing-based correspondent for The New Yorker and Pulitzer Prize winner, disclosed in October this year that China is asking banks to scrutinize the assets of the wealthy. Those with assets over 30 million yuan are being asked to surrender 20% of their wealth to face comprehensive tax investigations. Osnos mentioned that despite China's vast economy, many industries that previously contributed substantial tax revenues are facing problems within the last 5 years. Currently, numerous real estate companies in China are failing, leaving unfinished buildings, exhausted local government finances, and unpaid salaries for teachers and public servants. Seeking new source of revenue, the Chinese government is targeting the wealthy, with local governments resorting to extortionate methods such as using tax investigations to force the rich to hand over their assets. Similar reports have spread across various online media platforms stating that due to economic downturns and financial pressures, local CCP governments are extorting the wealthy through tax investigations. Wang Rui-Xing, a former businesswoman and political consultant in Qinghai, stated that the CCP targets the wealthy for several reasons. She said that within the CCP system, officials above a certain level are essentially wealthy, but generally the wealthy are defined as business people and those successful in various fields. She noted that wealthy civilians usually achieve their economic status through their efforts and in the process become aware of the CCP's brutality, official corruption, and societal darkness. Despite their wealth, they don't harbor gratitude towards the CCP. The CCP is almost worried that the rich do not support the Communist Party. Wang Rui-Xing emphasized that the successful not aligning with the CCP is a core factor. Secondly, the wealthy have money that the CCP can extract. Unlike the general populace, the CCP is now targeting the wealthy and those with democratic ideas, killing several birds with one stone. Meng Jun, a Chinese entrepreneur living in the United States, also stated that the CCP has reached a point of blatant robbery, putting the wealthy at great risk. He said, "We see it very clearly. Many friends now feel it too. Government departments are constantly extorting. Regulatory bodies are engaging in various forms of extortion because the CCP is desperate for money, completely panicked." Meng Jun advised that the wealthy should urgently sell off assets and transfer them or leave the country. It's safest to get out first. If you can't even leave when the time comes, that's the saddest thing. Not being able to leave with your money, what can you do in China? So you must have a clear understanding of the CCP. After the pandemic, restrictions were lifted, especially this year. Some of Meng Jun's friends saw no hope for China's economy and have since closed their companies, transferring their assets. He said some friends in the United States and Canada are transferring money by buying houses, each property ranging from 2 to 5 million US dollars, paid in yuan. You pay in yuan in China and transfer property in the US, and the house is yours. Especially after 2021, many large amounts have been transferred this way. Meng Jun also once the owner of a rubber product company with over 100 employees. However, the pandemic led to the company's closure. Under the CCP's pandemic control policies, Meng Jun's business went bankrupt, and he eventually closed the company and laid off over 100 employees, fleeing from Guangzhou to the United States. For years, Chinese tycoon believed it was more beneficial to stay than to leave, but many have now changed their minds. In 2022, over 10,000 wealthy individuals immigrated, surpassing Russia to become the country with the highest net outflow of high net worth individuals globally. One Chinese entrepreneur bluntly said, "If you're part of that 0.01%, then you'll try to escape." China is experiencing its largest scale of capital flight since the pandemic's easing. According to official CCP data, capital outflow reached 49 billion in August and a net outflow of 53.9 billion in September, marking the largest outflow since December 2015. On December 1st, Mike Sun, a senior Chinese investment strategy expert and private investment advisor in the United States, in an interview with the Epoch Times, advised, "Just one word, run, just run. There's no confidence in him." CCP leader Xi Jinping. Whether the CCP leader visits Shanghai or inspects elsewhere, people just lack confidence. Sun also mentioned, "We've heard some people have left, and many of my friends around me want to leave. But the problem everyone is facing is that they can't get their money out. If the money can't get out, neither can they. And many people are just stuck." There are media reports about China's rich buying houses and mansions in Japan, but they don't explain how this money is getting out. He explained, "When I discuss with my friends how the money is getting out, we all agree it is most likely via money laundering. There are two ways, one by water and one by land. By water, for example, I have a boat or a speedboat. I put the cash on the speedboat, and then when it's dark, I run to Macau or a Southeast Asian country. By land, I cross the border from Guangxi to Yunnan into countries like Myanmar or Vietnam. Then from there, make my way to Japan or other countries. Once out of mainland China, I can transfer to a third country." To prevent capital outflow from China, the CCP has implemented strict control measures limiting the individual annual foreign exchange purchase quota to 50,000 per person. In addition, travelers entering or leaving the country are limited to carrying a maximum of 20,000 yuan in cash. Travelers carrying more than that equivalent of 5,000 USD in foreign currency cash into the country must declare it to the customs. Furthermore, Chinese residents are prohibited from opening new offshore trading accounts with local brokerages, and new investments by existing customers are under strict surveillance. Two international online brokerages, Futu Holdings and Tiger Brokers, announced in May this year that they would delete their applications within mainland China. Securities companies have been ordered to close applications and websites used to attract mainland customers by the end of October, including their overseas departments. Due to CCP's foreign exchange restrictions, underground money houses on the mainland have flourished but have been repeatedly suppressed by the authorities. Exchange services in cities like Shanghai and Shenzhen, which previously allowed conversions of yuan to foreign currencies like the US dollars, have been deemed illegal and shut down by the police. Simultaneously, Chinese regulatory authorities have closed almost all gambling channels to Macau, an independently administrated region of China. Gambling trips once allowed wealthy Chinese to buy chips with yuan, play games like baccarat or roulette, and then convert the remaining chips into US dollars to withdraw. However, in some cases, Chinese citizens adapt and find ways to circumvent government controls on transferring money overseas. Wealthy Chinese families and businesses still find means to transfer funds abroad. To evade these controls, especially the 50,000 limit, a common method is called ant moving house, or splitting the annual 50,000 allowance among friends, family, or colleagues to move on their behalf. Another more common method is the so-called knocking by underground money houses, where domestic yuan and foreign currencies are delivered in parallel. Those needing to exchange currency deposits yuan into a specific domestic account and quickly receive foreign currency abroad. Converting foreign currency to yuan involves depositing the foreign currency into a specific foreign account, and then yuan is received domestically. Singapore has become the preferred destination for wealthy Chinese immigrants. A local businessman named Zhen stated that Singapore is now a haven for wealthy Chinese. In 2022, the number of Chinese-funded enterprises registered in Singapore reached 7,312, a 47% increase from the previous year. Many high-ranking executives from Alibaba have settled here, and they are very low-key. Liang Xiaohua, a former chief compliance officer at a mainland asset management company, said, "I've worked on anti-money laundering in China, and a lot was investigated, but these are nested in normal trade interactions. Large trading companies have annual transactions of several hundred million, and millions or tens of millions mixed within them are just not noticeable." He said, "For ordinary people and middle-class investors, immigrating, the amount moved through money houses is small. The real large sums are from elite companies like military companies like Poly and overseas investment companies like Belt and Road. It's very easy for them to move money out and nobody investigates." He added, if the elite need to move a large sum of money, they do it through Belt and Road investments like infrastructure and railway investments. They may invest $1 billion in name, but actually only invest 70 million, with the rest being moved out. Wealthy individuals, of course, try every means to immigrate, while poor Chinese often find themselves in a passive and helpless situation, lacking the resources and power to protect themselves and enduring pollution, disease, hunger, and poverty. However, a minority unwilling to be enslaved by the CCP for generations take unconventional routes, traversing the Panamanian rainforest and heading north through Central American countries to the US-Mexico border, then smuggling into the US. They refer to this illegal route as the walking the line. China faces potential economic recession and deflation, burdened with massive debts, stagnant productivity, and rising youth unemployment rates. Outside first-tier cities like Beijing and Shanghai, the situation looks even worse. Foreign investment is sharply declining, growth forecasts are being lowered, and the long-awaited post-pandemic recovery has failed to materialize. The Hudson Institute, a Washington think tank, also provided forward-looking analysis on the economic development of the US and China. According to a report by Radio Free Asia, at a seminar on November 28th, Thomas J. Duesenberg, a senior fellow at the Hudson Institute, pointed out that China's economic development has reached its limits. China's economy is likely to receive negative growth or face a severe economic crisis in the future, so domestic economic pressures in China are continuously increasing. Jörg Werke, the honorary president of the EU Chamber of Commerce in China, who has lived in China for over 30 years, said that while China always has stories of resurgence, it's not the case now. Werke also stated someone has to tell the Americans that the idea that China is going to overtake them is over. This guy, Xi Jinping, has ended that game.